This week's episode is brought to you in partnership with Zero Procure, who are here to make procurement simple. Zero Procure harnesses a network of specialists to ensure that businesses are working with the right suppliers at the right price. Hospitality Meets is delighted to partner with the Zero Procure team and their network to help keep this podcast accessible and free to listen to. Please get in touch with them for a chat. Just click on their link in the show notes or visit their site at zeroprocure.com/podcast. Welcome to Hospitality Meets with me, Phil Street, where each week we take a light-hearted look into the stories and individuals that make up the wonderful world of hospitality. Today's guest is Niall Kingston, General Manager of the world-class Manoir au 4 Saisons. Coming up on today's show, Niall proves the old "it's not what you know, it's who you know" theory.
My mum knew the HR manager because she was from our hometown, right. So got in the back door.
Phil gets driven to drink.
Let's get the spirits trolley.
And Niall discovers a fairly comprehensive leak.
First floor, full of water. Second floor, full of water. Third floor, full of water.
All that and so much more as we chat through Niall's superb story and journey so far. Niall and I talk about leadership a lot in our chat, and quite frankly could have probably filled the entire chat with that. Nevertheless, he's built a cracking career so far and talks with great humility about the luck that he believes he's had throughout his career. But as I've said before on this show, there's no luck without hard work and talent. And to take the reins at Manoir at the age of 31, Niall is living proof that if you're good enough, you're old enough. One final thing, don't forget to hit subscribe on your podcast platform of choice. Enjoy. And a huge Hospitality Meets welcome to Niall Kingston. How are you?
Yeah, very well, thank you.
Good. How's, tell the world who you are and what it is that you do.
Yeah, so my name's Niall Kingston. I'm the General Manager of Manoir au 4 Saisons, a little beautiful country house in Oxfordshire. And for those of you that haven't visited, please come.
Yeah. Nice plug.
Yeah. Any opportunity to sell. Yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
How's life in general out in the countryside?
Life is great. I grew up on the countryside, love the countryside, so I feel like this is an extension of home for me, really. Le Mans was a special place, but I love it here. It's really stunning.
Fantastic. Yeah, I mean, at this time of year as well, with a little sprinkling of snow that we've just had, it seems like Le Manoir was absolutely born to be snow-driven.
Yeah, it's quite enchanting, I have to say, when you and mesmerizing when you walk around. You're kind of, wow, do I really work here?
Yeah.
Do these places actually exist? So yeah, it's pretty picturesque. So we're super lucky to be here.
Yeah, I mean, it's picturesque even when there's not snow. But yeah. I've been lucky enough to be in here I've actually eaten twice and done a cookery school as well. So I'm sure I quite like it here.
Yeah, you might know it better than me then. But it is, it is the House of Four Seasons. It's in the name. People kind of forget that, 4 Saisons, it's 4 seasons. So, I mean, it's magical any time of the year. So it's, as I said, I sometimes I have to pinch myself that I even work here because it is such an incredible, beautiful place.
Yeah. Fantastic. Well, I mean, let's get to it.
Yeah.
How did you get into hospitality in the first place?
So I got into hospitality when I was about 16 or so. It all started off when basically I grew up on a farm. My dad was a builder, and we always worked. That was part of the course, and we loved doing it. We always worked out on the farm, helped out, did what we our chores, so to speak, and really loved that, and it was fantastic growing up. Growing vegetables, meat, etc. It was a real eye-opener. But as I said, my dad was also a builder. And on the weekends, he used to make us go help him. And, I hated it. I genuinely hated it. And, I got to around the age of 15, 16, I was like, enough's enough. I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
I don't want to do it, don't like it. And it isn't that I couldn't do it. I just didn't want to do it.
Well, good that you learned that quickly, I suppose.
Yeah, and my brother loved it, and he took over my dad's business, and he's super successful.
Right, okay,
right?
Yeah.
And then, so the option of not doing something on the weekend wasn't an option. So I was sent over to a little hotel not far from our house for a weekend job, and I was doing everything and anything. It was from helping out around the pool deck, squidging down, all the way through to glass collecting, to helping prep veg, to making beds. So it was a bit of a do whatever.
Yeah.
It was one of those hotels, it was family run, 3-star hotel. Everyone mucked in, real family atmosphere. And, from there, absolutely fell in love with it. Exam time came around when I was 18. What did I want to do in uni? Didn't have a clue.
Right.
So
this is a running theme on this podcast, actually. Apart from Benoit, I have to say, who knew at the age of 2 that he was going to be a pastry chef.
With a baguette and running around. I'm going to be a pastry chef. I'm going to be a baker. Yeah, Benoit. and I put down business and hotel management because I didn't genuinely know what I wanted to do, and I had an interest in that. And I was like, hospitality is great. I really like it. Is there something else I could be doing? Maybe, but I'll do this for now. It's business, so it opens a lot of doors. It's hospitality, opens even more doors. So it was quite a general side of things. And started studying it, and I absolutely loved it.
Yeah.
And did 4 years in uni, studying business and hotel management.
Whereabouts was this?
In Cork.
In Cork, right.
An institute, Cork Institute of Technology. Yeah, and then the rest is history, so to speak.
Yeah. Well, we're not going to skirt over it that much, but so you went and studied it. Was that through the academic process of that? Did you start to think, I could, this is actually quite interesting?
It was both, actually. It was the course, I think, was laid out really well for the most part. It's like any course, some will love pieces and you'll hate other pieces. But first year, in the summer, part of it was you had to work in hospitality. And in the third year, again, a 6-month placement, you have to work in hospitality.
Right.
And if you wanted to complete the course, you had to get out there into the operation and you had to do an operational role. And I think that marriage of, university books, which I absolutely hated and loved the operational side.
Yeah.
I think it was great to get a real taste for it. And
I mean, that's the key thing, isn't it?
That's the key, because the reality is in any industry, everyone, I think, people go to university and they have these aspirations to be top of the class, top of the world. When they come out, best job, best position. The reality is that doesn't happen without hard work. And you come out of uni and you might have the best degree in the world, but you do need to put in the groundwork in the industry, no matter what field.
Yeah.
Hospitality, you need to understand the operation to run the business. Same as you need to, as a doctor, you need to understand a surgery before you can run a surgery.
Yeah.
You have to start somewhere.
Yeah.
And my first year, I was lucky enough to get a really great placement in, one of the top hotels in Ireland at the time, and which my lecturer told me I couldn't go, funnily enough. And I said, well, I'll prove you wrong. I can go there.
Right, Well, sometimes that's the fire you need, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like somebody to say.
Yeah, he told me he couldn't go. It was a Swiss-owned hotel. They only take Swiss students on placement. And I was like, well, I'm going to go there because that has won best hotel in Ireland this year. So I'm going there. And he was like, well, you can try, but, I'll help you best I can. But that is what I've been told the last 3 years running. Anyway, funny story is my mum knew the HR manager because she was from our hometown.
Right.
So I got in the back door.
Very well. That's the old not what you know, right?
Yeah.
That applies at any stage in your career, for sure.
Yeah, and he asked me how I did it, and I was like, never you mind.
Yeah.
So I got my placement, loved it. Then, did year 2, did year 3, had a really good job at that point. By year 3, I was working for a 5-star hotel in the city, doing a bit of everything, but kind of supervisory role. And I worked up with them. I actually stayed with that family for 6 years, and I worked up to be the assistant hotel manager there through that transition.
Right.
It was quite a journey. It was one of these places where it was a 5-star hotel, but it was run on a shoestring staffing, and you have to do everything, and you have to love it and really put in the time and the effort.
Yeah.
And I did, and I invested myself in it completely. Some good, some bad. I overworked myself a couple of times, but
I suppose it's a good experience in some ways, though. Like we always talk about the overwork. It's massively important. You look after yourself, of course.
Completely.
But at the same time, if your learning experience is incredible and you're picking up new things all of the time, you don't, probably at the time it feels like it might be tough, but actually you maybe don't realize how important that section was to you.
Yeah, no, I actually do. And people always ask me, they go, you're quite young to be where you are. And maybe they're right, maybe they're wrong. It's not my place to answer that question, really.
Yeah, well, you can't control the age thing, can you?
No, you can't. And there's a reality to, I look back on, for example, the 6 years I spent with this hotel. We'll move on to the other hotels that I worked in later. But the reality is that I put in a lot of time and effort there. I look back, I reflect on it. Do I regret some things? Yeah, there's certain things I do regret. Did I work too much? Sometimes, yes, I did. But equally, I learned and I learned and I learned, and I don't regret the learning. And, did that fast track me? No idea. I have, with anything in life, you need luck. And I've been very lucky to work in great properties and to be given opportunities. And, luck and timing is an amazing thing.
Yeah.
I left there and I was kind of a bit burnt out, so to speak. So I took some time off and I went to Vancouver, up and left.
As one does.
I was
natural.
Yeah. I was 25 going on 26. And I was like, you know what? If I don't leave Ireland now, I'm never going to leave.
Right.
If I could stay here, great property, I'm growing, I'm getting promoted, and the family were really good to me, and I loved it. I really loved it. I still love that property.
Yeah.
But, would I go back in a heartbeat? And that's kind of one thing I would always say to people that are getting into the industry: never burn your bridges when you leave a place, because you never know.
Yeah,
it's the age-old saying. You need everyone on the way up, so don't burn them, because on the way down, you need a soft fall.
Yeah,
and that happens for everyone. But I went off to Vancouver for a year with no job, and I would recommend no one to do that ever, because that was a very difficult month when I got there.
So from a visa perspective, did you?
Yeah, I had got the visa and
Right,
I'd gone
okay.
through the whole process, and so I went off to Vancouver, saying, right, I'm going to get international experience, because that in hospitality you need, in lots of ways.
Vancouver's always voted like the best place to live in the world as well, isn't it?
Incredible city, honestly, incredible city. And if anyone has the opportunity to go, I would say in our heart, absolutely go, because wow, amazing city. It's one of those cities where I think it's one of the only cities in the world, and this is when I think back, what's the first image that jumps into my mind? You're walking down the main street of one, this massive cosmopolitan city, high rises all around, and you look left, and there's snow-capped mountains, and you look right, and there's the ocean.
Yeah.
And it's just like, wow, it's incredible.
Yeah, you're definitely selling it.
And then, I went without the job, whatever, thought I, foolishly, youth, lack of experience in life experience, full of work experience, lacked life experience. So went to Vancouver, get some work and life experience. Didn't have a job, and I couldn't get one.
Right, okay. Do you know, the thing about the lack of life experience, I think it's massively important.
Massive.
But also, like naivety is a really, really positive trait.
Oh,
to
amazing!
Have. Like the blindness of let's just go and do that.
And naively, and or wet behind the ears, as my mother would say. I went off thinking I would walk into a job. Great 5-star experience. Assist number 2 to the general manager of where I was. Incredible experience, I thought. Then the reality sets in. Vancouver's an expensive city. It's an amazing city, but it's expensive.
Right.
So the savings were being burned through. And I was like panicking. I wanted to get a job. I needed to get a job, but I wanted to get a good job. I didn't want to get an average job.
Yeah.
I want to work in 5 stars. That was always the commitment I made when I went to college. And I got my placement in a 5-star hotel. I knew luxury was for me.
Right.
I just knew.
Yeah.
And I've never looked back from luxury. I love it. Love the 5-star, love the detail, love all that. Anyway, I digress. Was in Vancouver, couldn't get a job. And I started emailing all the HR managers, got no response. Walking in, handing my CVs, got no response. So I started harassing them on LinkedIn. And finally, one guy agreed to meet me for a coffee. And I was very honest with him. I said, I came here, thought I'd get a job, struggling to get a job, and I need a job. And I'm willing to do anything. I have great experience. You can see my experience. I'm really hands-on, really operational. And he did take a punt on me. A week later, he said, I have a job. Come on over. You're going to help us do this. And he gave me a title of F&B consultant.
Whatever works.
Yeah, whatever works. I said, as long as you're paying me, I don't care. I'll do whatever you want. I'll make beds, wash floors, whatever.
But you had the courage of your conviction, like, to pursue the luxury thing, though. That's the like it would have been very easy, I would imagine, at that point, to the pressures of life are getting on top of you because money's running out, and I just need a job. And so you then drop the standard, etc., in terms of what you're trying to achieve.
Yeah, and I'd mulled it over. Am I going to get a job? And if I was getting a job like that, I wasn't working in hospitality.
Yeah.
I was committed to the cause. I was committed to my cause, rightly or wrongly. Mm. And he brought me in as an F&B consultant. I worked with the director of F&B. It was the Rosewood Hotel Group, Hotel Georgia in Vancouver. Stunning property.
Not bad at all, yeah.
Yeah, stunning property. Like, really, really stunning. And yeah, they had their own problems like everyone else. We all have problems. And I was basically a support to the director of F&B. He had some F&B managers under him. And I was helping with trading and guiding and management and slotting in where needed. Mm. And it was there I really learned, in North America, you have to work with unions, you have to work, and it was great learning. It was really an eye-opener.
Only imagine, yeah.
And I got on really well with the unions. Funnily enough, I was very honest, we can do this, we can't do this. And all of a sudden, after a few months, I was doing really well because I was getting on with all the wait staff that were in the union. I was getting on with all the F&B team that was within the union. And I kind of became chief negotiator between the union and the hotel management, the executive committee.
Right.
And then they had one kind of failing business that was downstairs. It was this called Prohibition. It's beautiful. It wasn't a nightclub, but it was a late bar, jazz lounge. And you had to knock on the door to get in. Really downstairs, really dark. Yeah, kind of. It was beautiful, but they never got it. It just wasn't working.
Right.
So I took that upon myself as a project to make it work, and I did. It took me a few months, but I got it working. I got some great bands in. We got some great people coming through, and you just make it work. You make it work, and I had some great times there. I mean, we really filled that place with fantastic people that were looking to enjoy themselves, and it was fun.
Well, the reputation feeds out then, doesn't it, as well? Like, as soon as you start getting known for a good experience.
Yeah, especially in these cosmopolitan cities,
People are always looking for the new thing, aren't they? And even if that might have been the old thing, but it's a refreshed new thing.
Yeah. But yeah, it was just an incredible time, Vancouver. And then I got a job opportunity back in Ireland to be deputy general manager of the Europe Hotel in Killarney. Fantastic property. And I snapped at it. So I went back.
Yeah.
And I don't regret going back either. Loved Vancouver. Would recommend Vancouver to anyone. But my career I put first. And I could have stayed there and had a lovely lifestyle, etc., etc., etc. But when I had the opportunity to go back, top 5-star hotel within Ireland, deputy GM, and answering into a managing director who was over 3 properties, I was like, wow.
Can't turn this down.
Can't turn this down. And, I was working in Europe. I was only there a year and a half. And a hotel manager role came up here at Le Manoir. And Le Manoir was one of a few properties I have internally in my head that I've always wanted to work for because they're, in my view, the pinnacle.
Right. Yep.
Okay. And
I can understand that.
Wow, I could never work for that property. I was like, you know what? I'll apply for hotel manager. I'm sure, on a month of Sundays, I won't get it. But if I don't try, then I won't be able to progress.
Yeah.
So I applied. Long story short, I ended up getting the job, and I couldn't believe myself.
How long ago was this?
That was back in 2019.
Okay. Good timing.
Good timing. Yeah, and as I said earlier, timing is, something that is really, really incredible.
Yeah.
And I came here, and the general manager at the time, Evelyn North, fantastic lady, great mentor. And she was super inclusive. Learned a lot from her because she was so inclusive, and that was always the management style I was looking for. And she basically taught me many things. But if I come back to the timing part, COVID hit. She had to take a little bit of time off over COVID, so I got the opportunity to stand as acting GM. And I was acting GM for over a year nearly, and then she decided to leave the business, and then I got promoted to general manager. So timing was, so I was literally a hotel manager for a very short time here,
right,
before I actually got promoted to GM. And luck and timing really was a lot of it. Yes, I have some experience and all of those things, but luck really fed into that, and timing.
But I mean, the old cliche of you make your own luck, right? I mean, you put yourself into this position, and good things have happened to you. And there's no way in the world that you would have got the job if you didn't have something to offer. And you said yourself that this place has got a special place in your heart, even before you walked through the door.
Yeah.
What better person to be a GM of a property than somebody who obviously deeply cares about it?
Yeah, and I love this place. This is Le Mans was a place when you walk through the gates, it's special.
Yeah.
And is it for everyone? Absolutely not. But I grew up on a farm, growing vegetables, really appreciating food and all of those ethics that Le Manoir is. Everyone thinks the heart of Le Manoir must be the 2-star Michelin kitchen, but it's not. It really isn't.
Yeah.
The heart of Le Manoir was the gardens, because that's where we grow the vegetables that go on the plate that the diners eat and enjoy. So the heart of Le Manoir was the gardens, and I love the gardens here. I'm obsessed with them, nearly as much as Raymond, but not as much, because he started it. And me, I love Raymond. He's an amazing guy. He is such an obsession with everything he does.
Yeah.
And you can't but buy into it. But I think me and him really see eye to eye in terms of, he really respects that I know and love gardens in terms of growing. And we both really appreciate what Le Manoir actually is and what we're trying to do here.
Yeah.
We're not trying to we do certain things very, very well. We're not trying to cater for the whole market, but we do what we do really well. And, we just want to make this the best place in the world.
Yeah.
And that's probably, for most people, they hear that and they might say, oh, wow, well, that's quite a big aspiration. But aspirations are what push you forward, in my opinion.
I mean, it's all here, right? It has endless and boundless potential, right? And if you look at what it has been to what it now is as well, like it's clear that you guys continue to evolve.
Yeah.
And you're right, the gardens are special. I remember the first time I came here to eat, my wife bought me lunch for my 30th birthday. 30th? Something like that, anyway. And she'd organised with the gardener to give us a tour of the gardens before we had lunch. Mm. And it was, there's just something a little bit extra special about seeing something in the ground and then actually seeing it on your plate like an hour later. It was, very, very special.
Yeah, no, 100%. And, as I said, when you walk through the gates of Manoir, you're somewhere special.
Yeah.
And, I always say to the team, we're a family here. And I always say to the new starters, we're a family here. And people might say that's a bit weird, and you can see they look at me a bit funny when I say that, but we are. And hospitality is, in reality, we are a big family, and we're a big community. We're a small community in other ways. But here at Le Manoir, our team is a family. And, I think a great kind of shed on the light of family and, what makes hospitality is people.
Yeah.
And connections.
Totally.
And when COVID happened, and I don't want to talk about COVID very much because it's come, it's gone. People have very mixed opinions on it. I lived here while the hotel was closed.
Right. It's not a bad house.
Not a bad house. And people always say, wow, you're so lucky to live in the Manoir for the best part of a year. And yeah, it was. It had its benefits, but it had its negatives as well. Let me tell you, the man was not special when there's no people.
Yeah.
It's a house, bricks and mortar, some grounds that I had to cut the lawns and run around like a crazy man with the garden team and a skeleton staff crew to keep this place alive.
Yeah.
Without people, it's not special.
Yeah, there's no life.
And there was a life lesson for me where hospitality, and I knew it already, but it was a real eye opener to the reality of a business is a business. But a hotel, a restaurant, hospitality is people.
Yeah.
And that's why this future of this industry is actually incredible, because you can't replace it with robots. You can do it for certain things,
yeah,
but you're never going to get that level of experience. And, we do so many things great, and we're fantastic at like giving out to ourselves. We did that wrong. We did that wrong. We did that wrong.
Yeah.
Well, we kind of, and I do it myself, we forget the days that there was no complaint or there was nothing that went wrong, and we did amazingly well. And to be honest, that's 90% of the time or 99% of the time. And we kind of forget to reflect on the days where everything was perfect and we did everything perfect, and all the accolades and all of the everything that we win or achieve together as a family. Forget. And, sometimes I think the industry is very good at focusing on the negative rather than the positive. And there's so many positives within this industry.
There's way more positives than negatives, but I think the sort of the focus on the negative from an internal perspective probably comes from this desire to be perfect, and none of us can be ever. But if we're pushing towards trying to achieve it, at least when something does go wrong in that, then it initially it can feel devastating. Initially, it can just throw you a little, but at the same time, it's going to happen, right? I mean, it's just it's an inevitable part of what we do, and you learn from all of the negative stuff as much as you do from the good when stuff is good. And actually, when you look at your journey so far to this point, you kind of thrown yourself into, I suppose, ideas of what you want to do with the next part of your career. But at no time, like I sensed in all of the roles that we've discussed so far, the time where you feel like it's too comfortable, like it's too easy, that's the time that I need to crack on. And I think that's massively important, because what is it? It's comfort the enemy of progress or something like that. Is that?
Yeah, I would agree with that. And you can never coast. Great thing, I suppose, a great comment Raymond says quite regularly is we might achieve excellence today, and we always strive to touch excellence. But the reality is you can never touch excellence.
Yeah, that's
the reality. You can't touch it. And even if you get very, very close to touching it today, tomorrow you need to try even harder.
Yeah.
Because what was excellent yesterday is actually old news.
Yeah.
And that's what keeps you going. That's what pushes you forward. You need to keep pushing every day, and you need to enjoy doing it. And I think it's when that day comes where you don't enjoy pushing forward or trying to move the needle, then I think you need to look at something that will, allow you to be happy and move that needle.
Yeah.
Because if you're not, I think in a leadership role, if you're not pushing forward, then why would people buy into you?
Yeah.
And then that's going to be a negative for you. It's going to be a negative for the team. It's going to be a negative for the business. And nobody wins, actually.
Yeah.
You'd be happier if you went and found something that made you want to push forward. And the team would be happier because they'd have someone that they could, or someone internally would grow into it. So I think for me, I've only ever left jobs when I probably have felt that I can't give any more here positively. And sometimes that's me, and sometimes that's people above me.
Yeah.
There's sometimes when you're in a leadership role, but there's people above you that don't allow you make these let you push the business forward and the teams forward, because they like it their way or whatever. And that's fine. That's fine if the leader above you wants to do that. And you can only, you can only push a roadblock so far at a certain level. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you need to leave to push forward. And I've, ever left a job because of either bad leadership, or I've left because I can't give any more positively.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing, right? There's another cliche out there, isn't there, around the fact that nobody ever leaves a job, they leave a boss. Or I mean, in that situation, I suppose that's not specifically true. If you've gotten to the end of all, anything that you can learn from this position.
Yes, but a good boss would spot that before you and encourage you to leave.
Good point. Yeah.
And I've had those people in my life, which I've been very lucky. Again, back to luck. I've had great leaders in my life. I haven't had many bad ones, but I have had some great leaders in my life.
Yeah.
And, they will spot when you're ready and they'll encourage you to leave.
Yeah.
And that's a negative for the business in certain ways, but you know what? Business needs reinvention.
Yeah, but
it needs reinvention.
Totally. And what you said earlier on about the fact that you leave, don't ever burn your bridges. It's the same for companies, right? I mean, at the end of the day, I've spoken to so many people about this point around if it's time for somebody to move on, like if you can't help their growth or help them move forward, let them go with a big fat blessing, don't get in their way, because they could come back to you in 5 years, or they 100%. Could come back as the GM or whatever,
or your boss.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or your boss. Don't ever, I always tell people, don't ever, think you're better than someone. No one's better than anyone. We're all here to do a great job. We're all here to do it together, get involved together, move forward as a team, as a family. And I think in certain ways, positions are a bit irrelevant, because I can't do my job without a gardener here, for example, because we have a lot of gardens.
No doubt.
And I've tried very hard over COVID to take on a lot of the gardening, and it's too much for one person. I can reassure everyone. So, with that analogy, yes, I may be the GM here. If I don't have a fantastic team, then I can't do anything. People say to me, that's probably more I say to them. If you take a waiter, they spend 90% of their job with the guest. Front-facing, hosting, sharing stories, making the guest experience incredible. Now, I can assure you one thing. If that waiter is not happy, the guest will not be happy.
Yeah.
I love spending time with guests. It's, one of the big things why I got into this industry. People. I love talking to people, chatting to people. The realities of a GM role now, we're running big businesses, and it's a versatile role. And, you're problem solving, you're financier, you're everything in between.
Yeah.
So I spend probably 10% of my time with guests. So if I'm not happy, the guests will still probably be happy because the waiter's happy.
Yeah.
But if the waiter isn't happy, or the reception isn't happy, or all those frontline team members that it makes to make an incredible experience, they're not happy, then I can reassure you the business will not thrive because the guests won't be happy. You'll lose market share. And
it's difficult to get back.
And it's very difficult. It's a hard hill to climb.
Yeah.
And I put a lot of time and effort into making sure our team is as happy as possible. Do me and Raymond get it right? Well, we're lucky now that we have an amazing HR team that do so many things right. And we do a lot of things right. But do we do everything right? No, we don't.
Yeah, but nobody business does.
But we try harder every day.
Yeah.
We absolutely do. And we reinvent. And I suppose that leads very much into, I think, if industry people hear what I'm going to say next, they might say, some will agree, some will disagree. I firmly believe hospitality, we're in a crisis right now. But I can't help but, when I really think what happened, I think we've self-harmed as an industry since the beginning of time. If you go back, years, someone would have opened a pub or whatever, years and hundreds of years back, and they wanted to get in people to help them, they would have got them in as cheaply as possible.
Yeah.
And you fast forward to modern businesses to where we are today. Well,
picking up the pieces of that.
Yeah, but we're all to blame in certain ways. And as a whole, as a hospitality, world, global, community, we all need to wake up and smell the coffee.
Mm.
So yes, we try hard here to do things better, to forge ahead, to try to show the industry that we can do things. And yeah, we need to be agile, and we need to try new things, and we need to try things that are out of the box. And will they all work? No, they won't, but some will.
Yeah.
And it's only by doing that we can move forward as an industry. Because if everyone keeps the view of, well, I'm not getting into hospitality because the hours are crap, the pay is crap. Well, then how are we meant to get people?
Yeah.
You know, and yeah, if there's one business, a perfect business, which it doesn't exist somewhere in the world where all the staff are 100% happy, all the guests are 100% happy, and they have 100% retention of their team, and you know, well, that doesn't exist. But there's a lot of great businesses out there that do a lot for people, and that's fantastic.
Yeah.
And we can learn from each other, and we can be better. We need to be better, and that's what I try to do here every day. I try to make this place the best place in the UK, in Europe, in the world to work, because I want to have the best people here, and I want to look after them. And
in turn, they will give your guests the greatest experience.
Yeah. But, you know, the guest, you know, in certain ways is secondary. Because if you don't have the right team, then there's no point inviting guests to come stay.
Yeah. Well, then you come back to the argument of Le Manoir then just becomes bricks and mortar with the wrong people in it.
Exactly.
And nobody's coming for that.
Exactly. And, you know, we want people to come here and we want it to love it, Le Manoir, as much as we do.
Yeah.
And Le Manoir is loved by all, and it's an amazing, special place. But we work hard to keep it like that.
Yeah.
And I would only hope that all our team members feel the same way. And yeah, I speak to them a lot. I speak to them a lot to make sure they are happy. And I can't make everyone happy. And I refuse to make everyone happy, because you can't bend over backwards for everyone, because it needs to be kind of one rule for all as well. There needs to be some fairness there. But yeah, there's a reality to it.
But, you know, I think it's you can put the foundations of what people can expect from you as a leader in play. And they're non-negotiables, and these are the things that you ask people to aspire to be every single day.
Yeah.
So everybody knows what they're playing with. And then around that, people also have to take responsibility for themselves.
100%.
And that's so it is a two-way street. It's not just about the business getting it 100% right all the time. It's about the individuals coming to that party.
Yeah, and you know what? In some ways, we probably have swung too far, you know, in certain decisions. You know, we've made decisions here where I thought it was the right thing. And after a month or two, we realized it really wasn't.
Yeah.
We had to, you know, go back. And I'm the first person to say, you know what, made a mistake there. I apologize. Let's, you know, we have to go back. We have to go back for whatever reason. But you need to have that humility. You need to be able to apologize. I don't get it right all the time. I don't claim to get it right all the time. But I try really hard to get it right all the time.
Yeah. I suppose it's about having the positive intention, right? I mean, even negative stuff happens even when with the greatest positive intention. So, but as long as that intention is there, that's the important thing. Yeah, great. I mean, I feel like we could probably chat business and leadership until the cows come home. That was a little farm analogy for you there. But back to story. From your career so far, do you have any funny stories that you can share with us?
This is a funny / horrendous story that I'm going to share with you.
That's fine. Yeah, that works.
And I think it depends on who you were.
Right.
So it was equally horrendous and funny for me when I reflect back on it.
Yeah.
So in one of the properties, I'm not going to name which property, and this happens everywhere anyway. We were doing a wedding, and I was in charge of the wedding.
Okay.
And we were just about to send main course. So we just clear starters, main course, just about to go. I walk out, through the door, 2 plates, bride and groom, look left, and the wall was literally like a waterfall.
Water leak. Well,
and
leak doesn't cover it.
And not the vegetable.
Yeah.
Yeah. And a leak does not cover it. And I just so I reverse.
Are you having a good wedding?
Reverse back into the kitchen, come back out, go over to bride and groom. I'm really sorry. I need to go and fix this. So I'm going to go. And I'm going to come back and we're going to make this better. I need to go and fix it. So I'm sorry, I have to leave the room. And they were panicking and they were giving out. And rightly so.
Yeah.
Anyway, long story short, run upstairs, go in between, you know, there's little access hatches there was access hatches in this hotel between some of the rooms. And first floor, full of water. Second floor, full of water. third floor, full of water. Fourth floor, basically the pipe that was going into the back of the shower had come off, so the full pressure of all the water was coming out on the fourth floor and going down through all these access hatches like a waterfall, and had made a beautiful water feature within the banqueting space.
Nicely put, yes.
And then I was running around looking for the cutoff because, of course, it wasn't in there. No, it was in the floor below. So cut off these access hatches, you could physically get in. You could squeeze in, and I was in there, knee deep in water, turning the water off, and then getting a bucket in each floor and running it into one of the vacant rooms and pouring it into the bath. And I come down wet, completely wet. I walk in to the bride and groom. I say, it stopped. This is what we're going to do. And I turned around to the deputy general manager of the hotel and I said, get the spirits trolley and let's go in there with it.
Yeah.
And we took it in, and you know what? We really turned it around. Obviously, they were upset. Some guests got misplaced. We had to move them into another room and look after them. And we did look after them. We looked after them really well.
Yeah.
We did turn it around, and it did become a bit of a running joke. But that was probably one of the worst things and funniest things.
Yeah, well, when you said, let's get the spirits trolley, I was thinking to myself, yeah, and then you'll have a couple yourself.
No.
And then settle the
for the
nerves.
wedding.
Yeah.
But it was, so that's a silly story that, I shared the other time.
But they're everywhere, aren't they? I mean, those kind of stories that but it's almost like it's the horrible side, but the joyful side as well, because it gives you an opportunity to learn something new, and it gives you the opportunity to make somebody feel good again when they've perhaps come off that elation feeling on their special day.
Yeah, and I quite like a crisis, I have to say. It kind of gets you out of your day to day. I didn't get into this industry for like 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, do say, same thing. Yeah. I actually kind of like a crisis, obviously, as long as there's a nice ending to them like this. Yeah, a bit of a crisis, gets the day going for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a funny story. And silly things I've done along my way, the age-old story, bartender, panicked, flustered, sticks a glass into the ice bucket for unknown reason, because you always use the ice scoop.
Yep.
Panicked, running around, glass into the ice, breaks, of course, because it's glass on ice, and then you have to you
clear it all out,
start afresh, and you're tin deep at the counter. Great.
Yeah. Yeah, I think everybody's got a bartender story, haven't they? That's ever worked their way within bar. Yeah. Nice one. What would be your top 3 reasons as to why somebody should come and join hospitality as a career?
It's diverse. You can travel anywhere in the world, and it's a fun industry. It's fun.
Yeah,
it's great. Yeah, they're top 3 for me. It's a great industry.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you said that, because you're still on the up and up in your career. How long have you been general manager now?
A year now.
An
acting GM, a year and a half.
Right. So. Okay. So 2.5 years basically then, for all intents and purposes.
Yeah. So I've as I said, and before this I was deputy GM, great, really senior role, big hotel, 200 bedrooms, big resort. So yeah, I've been very lucky.
Yeah. What's next for Le Manoir?
What's next for Le Manoir? Well, we've got planning permission, and we're going to go through it will be the biggest change Le Manoir has ever had. In 2024 and 2025, we're going to inject quite a lot of money into Le Manoir and reinvest and put Le Manoir at new heights.
Right. Well, that sounds very interesting.
It is.
I'm going to have to come back again.
You'll have to do one on that. I can't share too much as of now, but we will be. Yeah, we're going to do something really special.
Well, because it's not special enough.
No.
Yeah.
Can't rest on your laurels.
That's the ethos, isn't it? Keep pushing for perfection. Keep pushing for better and excellence, as I think you quoted earlier on.
Yeah, it's all about excellence.
Yeah.
Excellence can be viewed in many ways. Some people say, "Oh, that's kind of snobby." It's not actually, because if you go to the supermarket and you get great service, and that's great. That's an excellent supermarket, isn't it?
Yeah.
Or excellent cafe, or an
Totally.
excellent whatever.
Simple, but yes.
Yeah, you can walk into a car showroom and people the salespeople can snob you off, or they can be super inviting.
Yeah.
You know, excellence is everywhere. It's all around us.
Yeah.
Excellence and kindness. That's what it's all, for me, it's what it's all about.
Here. I could not agree with you more. I think kindness doesn't get enough press.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
Fortunately, it doesn't sell as many newspapers.
No, regrettably not. Niall, thank you so much for coming and sharing your story. Look forward to finding out what Le Manoir has in store for us, and I'll be keeping a very close eye on that. And wish you well through the winter months and into 2023.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure.
Fantastic. Take care.
Bye now.
Cheers.
Well, that was your starter for our finale week ahead. And what a great way to kick off the week. Niall has built himself a fabulous career so far, and it was brilliant to get some time with him. We'll be back on Wednesday at 8 p.m. with the main course, none other than the legend that is Raymond Blanc. You absolutely will not want to miss that.